Hello everyone, let me just check whether we're actually streaming. It would seem so, so that's good, at least one place. So that's something to be grateful for. It's quite stormy here in England, so the power may well go out for me or someone else. So yeah, if we disappear, that's why. Uh, Tonight we're playing Convictor Drive, which unfortunately has a green cover so you can see through it. It is a translated Japanese role playing game based around the kind of Tokugetsu series, things like Kamen Rider or the things that became Power Rangers when they came to the UK and US, but slightly less childish than that. In this game, you play members of Drive, which is a private security slash police organization. Uh, Yokohama has been turned into a test bed for this brand new technology called mechatronics, which is revolutionizing everything. But the rest of the world is a bit wary of it. Only certain forms of technology have been allowed out, but the Yokohama district is where all kinds of weird experimental stuff goes off. And so your agents who are there to deal with high tech industrial espionage, um, law breaking that involves mecha, that sort of thing. We're not talking gigantic mecha, we're talking roughly human sized stuff. It's all summoned by nanotechnology, so you can partially summon your suits or you can do the full transformation. They're partially driven by emotion, which is where the name comes from. Every drive agent has some kind of horrendous trauma in their past that they have to call upon to access the powers of their suit. If they ever, achieve full catharsis and process their horrible background, then they lose their powers. So that's one thing. So you need to recall your past trauma using a trigger word to activate the full power of your suit, and then you can go into full Convictor Drive mode by like reliving that horrendous moment, which makes you incredibly superpowered for short periods of time. Um, let's bring the guys in, and then I'll go over the system a bit in case anyone has any questions. Uh, the game is played in two main phases. There's the investigative phase and the climax. Most of the time, you're not getting into the nitty gritty of the suits and getting into fights or anything. Rather, it's a series of skill challenges that build you up towards the end of the investigation and some kind of big confrontation. So it's worth taking your time and role playing for bonuses during the investigation phase. You can't exactly fail the investigation phase, it just might take a really long time, and the more delays and screw ups you have, the more difficult the final confrontation is. It's a dice pool system, so you take a certain number of 10-sided dice equal to your score in whatever you're trying to do, and then you're trying to hit a target number, which is typically 5, but it can be higher. If you roll a 10, that's a critical success and counts as 2 successes. It's all quite formalized in the book. I think that reflects the Japanese character that I am seeing come out in a lot of their game books. They have a very formal structure quite often, rather than the kind of herding cats chaos that might be more familiar in Western games. So for this, you're supposed to have a set of investigation cards that you can put out on the table, and they have conditions under which circumstance you can investigate them. If you successfully complete them, you get intelligence, and it opens out other investigative possibilities, and then eventually you work your way to the climax. all shall become clear, I think, on that. During the climax, that's when you get into combat. You face down the big bad. It uses a grid system, which, again, us playing online makes a bit difficult, but I will manage as best I can. And you move around on that grid and you do your attacks on each other. At 0 hit points, you are not killed. Rather, you either have to retreat or activate your Convictor Drive. But if you keep it going too long and you take too much more damage, that's when you suffer severe injuries and even death. So, the nitty-gritty we can get into as necessary. Do players have any questions?
Not that need addressing right now, I don't think.
Yeah, you'll find something awkward.
Yes, of course.
You all good?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Right. Okay. Right. Let me just have a quick look around to see where anyone is. All right. So one player's daughter's gotten ill, so that's a legitimate excuse. So I don't need to send the boys round to break his kneecaps. That's fair enough. Facebook. I think everyone there has been in touch. So Twitter. Sorry, X. Someone wake up t-shirt. He'll kick himself. I know he will. All right. Just us two then. Typically, it's supposed to be a team of 3, but I will adjust things accordingly. We shall see how things go from there. There goes t-shirts, kneecaps. Yes, Joe, absolutely. Let me down. All right. So let's close that. Call up the plot sheet. Do you want to introduce your characters? Tell us who they are, what they're like, all that jazz.
Yes, Yumika Shiroi, as I think we concluded it was pronounced. Elderly, possibly elderly, more elderly than he looks with the avatar. An elderly man. It's sort of whispered about him that he was more than closely associated with certain organized crime elements. The fact that he's missing the little finger on his left hand does nothing to dispel this particular association. But nobody's quite dared come out and ask him straight out. I don't think. At least none of his co-workers. I'm sure his employers are fully aware of his background. Small man, expensively and well dressed. He's fastidious, tidy, punctual, but makes up for this with a clangingly awkward social directness, which culturally does not sit overly well with the more traditional aspects of the society in which he happens to live. It says here he's a Virgo, but that means nothing to me, I'm afraid.
So it's a very Japanese thing. That's why the blood type is on there as well.
Ah, right, okay.
See, because there's a thing in Japan where they believe the blood type helps determine your personality and so on. So
okay, I don't know whether that means that I'm a good fit for the A-neg or not. Who knows?
Who knows? It's all bollocks anyway. All right. And do you want to introduce Kuya Takuta?
I will. See, I comes from a kind of a poor family in Okinawa, so he is not used to the finer things, which may reflect in his choice of clothes, as he's usually wearing kind of loose, casual suits. He's a Scorpio. It's He's a little bit ruthless, single-minded, but creative and responsible. So, um, and he seems a little sad as if something has happened in his past where he's some lost in his life that it makes him eternally sad.
Yeah, that's true of all Drive agents, and also helps explain why there's an elderly man working as uh, part of the tech police. Yes, only certain people are compatible with these devices that give you your powers, and also you have to have some kind of massive emotional trauma that helps power things. Why? Reasons I don't know. Quantum. Woo!
And apparently, my blood type means that I have a root to the earth. So,
So you're a tree.
yes, I am grounded to the earth and nature. Apparently,
Okay. All right. So yes, you've completed training a couple of weeks ago. You've been doing orientation up until then. You've been assigned to a unit with a group of other prospective Drive agents, but unfortunately, gastric flu has made its way through the rest of your unit, so they can't join you and support you. Yeah, you don't want to do that inside an expensive high-tech supersuit. That would not go well for anybody involved. So you two being well still are finally let off the leash. So you get to kind of wander around, train, spend your normal day until you get called upon. And after a few days of this and starting to get bored and wondering if anything's going to happen that's suitable for your unit to be involved in, your watch communicators finally do go off, and it's the proper alarm indicating that there is in fact a case for you to address.
Is our existence kind of barrack based, or do we have individual apartments?
You have available barracks as part of the headquarters, but you can maintain your own personal apartments and so on, should you wish.
That is exactly what I do. Barracks. Ugh. God almighty. Okay, so I'm just trying to think. It's literally just be at this building at this time. Is that the nature of with some kind of color code or something for a mission type?
Probably.
Fair enough.
But this is a video message from your commander, Commander Kazuhiro.
so we play the message.
Yep. Okay. Agents, you're activated. There's been a vehicular accident, and the coordinates and a little map thing flash up, which wouldn't normally be any of our concern, but the truck involved in the accident was shipping mechatronics and exoframes. Exoframes are the more primitive version of the stuff that you have. But they get used for things like construction, loading and unloading, things like that. But the police on site say there's something off about the load, so they want us to come in and just check it over and apply our expertise. Seems like a low risk job that's suitable for your first assignment.
Damn, it just had to be a car wreck, didn't it?
So, you've got the coordinates. You know roughly what it's about. Any preparation? How are you going to make your way there?
Do we have access to like a car or a vehicle of some sort?
You've probably got a government-issued sort of little black city car for getting around.
Okay.
But,
Yumika, do you think we should bring anything with us?
One moment. And he goes and checks whatever the equivalent of Alexa is for the local weather, with one eye with one eye to his umbrella stands and various other inclement weather.
okay. It's going to be a dry, clear day.
Can we have access to like a camera or I mean, do we have cell phones? I mean, like technology, like something to document the scene with.
Yeah. Your watches can take pictures, plus you have your personal cell phones. If you want crime scene equipment, you can have access to it. Not massively specialized like forensic gear, but
Okay. Maybe something to test for like like gun residue or something like that to test that kind
yeah,
of.
if they're simple things like you can like swab and dip, then you can
Okay.
have a bunch of those in a kit bag or something.
Okay.
All right.
Yumika spends longer than most normal human beings would do, rooting through a drawer which contains nothing but handkerchiefs of enormous variable colours, pattern ways, and things like that. And he's looking for one that will match the umbrella that he's going to take with him for affectation anyway, notwithstanding the weather forecast. And he spends a few minutes kind of folding it, refolding it, folding it, refolding it before eventually stepping out of his door, swinging the umbrella by its kind of round, by the sort of circular handle, twirling it out into the day. Mr. Takuta, are you driving us there? Are you?
Sure. I will be the driver.
Jolly good.
Okay. So you swing by and pick up Yumika.
Yep. Sounds good.
Who gives one brief disappointed glance at the rumpled suit that Takuta is wearing, the off-the-peg suit, no less, which is just a crime in Shiroi's opinion.
And then the 5 o'clock shadow.
Yes, exactly.
And the unkempt black hair. Yes.
And it just, and he can't. He knows he shouldn't, but he can't. It escapes under his breath anyway. Bumpkin.
Meanwhile, I just look back and shake my head like, really? An umbrella?
You never know.
Exactly. And sits down in the seat and then has to spend a moment or two just kind of lifting his trousers over his knees to make sure they sit just right.
All right. So yeah, it's a cramped little car, which makes suit maintenance important. It doesn't take you very long at all to get to the site. The Yokohama area has all kinds of additional high-tech public transportation now, so there's a lot less drivers. It's mostly freight and deliveries and things going around on the roads, so you're able to cut through the traffic even in such a highly populated area relatively easily. When you arrive, the crash site seems to be under a motorway overpass, so it's actually fairly dark under there, but there's a few police cars around with their lights on. Someone's set up a little generator and there's some more lights. There's a couple of civil engineering workers waiting nearby with a big yellow and black exoframe waiting to right the vehicles when the police are done with them. So they're just kind of standing around smoking, waiting. The police see you coming, and a guy in his sort of high-vis jacket and with a sort of light wand thing waves you over and bows. You're the drive agents?
Yep, we are. I am Kuya Takota.
Shiroi is just staring straight out of the windscreen. He's not paying the front window. He's not paying any attention to this conversation. Or at least he's not taking part in it.
And that's your partner?
Yes, he is.
Well, if you'd like to encourage him out of the car, I can take you to the crash site.
Yes, I will see if I can round him up. Yumika, we need to, get out of the car if we're going to investigate this site,
Yes. Flips open the door. Why do I imagine it's a gull wing door? Anyway, rather than
That could well be. They're more high tech looking.
Steps out and so you say this is an underpass. So is this a thoroughfare or is this just some kind of service road that we would?
So this is a fairly major arterial road that passes through the Yokohama segment and out to the neighboring districts. So this one runs north-south. There's another one running east to west that's up above it. So you've got a ground level road and then two higher roads. It's like 3 levels of motorway. They've closed off this bottom section for you.
I don't have any particular expertise in this, but just looking at the crash site itself, does it look like it was head on? Did one vehicle cross some kind of central reservation to hit the other? Is it a rear shunt? What sort of? I might not be able to tell, but
well, as you follow the officer down under the pass, it just looks like the big truck with the exo frames on it was joining from a side road and got ploughed into by another smaller truck that was transporting dirty water. So there's a.
I'm sorry. As I approach, I kind of have to take my breath and I kind of look away and would like to kind of look not at the crash directly. I mean, it's sort of disturbing and would kind of like to just look, at the area around, the crash itself, staying kind of away from it at the moment.
As part of our training, are we made aware of the generic or specific nature of our fellow agents' traumatic experiences?
You know that everyone has traumatic experiences, but unless they've activated their Convictor Drive in your presence, you won't know the specifics unless they've told you.
Okay, but I think Tokuta's obvious avoidance of the one thing we're here to actually look at might be a bit of a giveaway.
Bit of a giveaway, yeah. So the truck was joining the big truck was joining the road, got hit by the little truck. The little truck's cabin kind of went slightly underneath the big truck, and that's what kind of tipped it over onto its side. The shipping container on the back of the larger truck burst open, and a whole bunch of mechatronic parts and exo frames spilled out onto the ground. The driver of the water truck was killed. His body's already been removed. And the water tanker on the back burst open and spilled a whole bunch of grey water throughout the area here.
So Yumika goes up to Tokuta and he's kind of lost his usual sort of patronizing superiority. He seems entirely genuine about this and says, "Mr. Tokuta, perhaps you would be so kind as to look at to examine the CCTV footage while I inspect the crash itself."
I would appreciate that, and I can also check out the perimeter and see if just to clarify. So some of the stuff was stolen from the truck, correct?
Well, the police don't know. They turned up a
Oh,
bit later. They have briefly and in a cursory fashion checked the CCTV stuff. The driver of the larger truck fled the scene.
okay. I will try to check then the perimeter and look for clues about where he might have gone.
Okay. There's a couple of people being interviewed by regular police at the side of the freeway section. They're cleaners who were picking up trash from the side of the road. They might know something, but they seem a little bit fearful and reticent to talk to the regular cops.
Okay. Then I will approach them and how. What is our relationship with the cops exactly? I mean, can we ask them to
So
back off, or can we just order? I mean, like, what's our?
you're a private security company, but you're employed by the city and the Yokohama mechatronic test bed area. So you're kind of outside of their rank structure, but they kind of defer to your expertise.
Okay.
But some police are resentful, but by and large, they will grudgingly cooperate.
Okay. All right. Then I'll walk up and approach him, and I try to be delicate about it, and just ask the officer if there's two people that he's interviewing.
Yeah.
Um, maybe I just, Mr. I just introduce myself to the officer. Hi, Tokuta from the drive. You know, um,
Yeah, he bows slightly and gives you his
yeah.
name, which I haven't generated. Then it doesn't matter.
And just ask, and I say, can I, would you mind if I just take, each of these individuals, alone for a few minutes and discuss what they might have seen?
No, I think I've got everything I need. Once you're done with them, just let them go.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I asked one of them, I'd still like to split them up. So, I mean, I asked one to just stay where they are. And then I asked the other to just follow me 15, 20 feet away to, talk more
Okay.
privately.
Can you make a negotiation roll? And can you, Mika, make a knowledge roll, please?
Okay. Just one die.
If that's all you've got in it.
Um, in knowledge, I got two.
Negotiation for you.
Negotiation. Oh, is that two? Okay.
2. Yeah. So you roll 2 dice, needing a 5 or higher. If you get a 10, that's 2 successes.
I did get a 2 and a 10.
Okay, so that's 2 successes.
And on knowledge roll 3d10, I rolled a 7, a 9, and a 2, so 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay. So you both beat the difficulty, which means if we were playing with the little cards and things, this one would be flipped over, and I would, role play out the information which you're getting, which you'll get now. Okay. So in talking with the witness, once you get him by himself, he seems a little more willing to talk to someone from Drive, maybe even a little starstruck. So yeah, we were just here, picking up trash and so on from the side of the road. We didn't see the crash itself, but we heard the crash, and so we went to see if we could try and help. But there was no way we could get across the freeway with all the delivery vehicles and drones and things going around. So we just had to watch. The driver of the smaller truck, I don't think he survived the crash at all. But the guy in the bigger truck that tipped over, he got out. He ran to the central reservation, and then somehow managed to get across through the traffic to the other side. I think people were slowing down because the crash at that point. But yeah, he just ran. Yeah. He had like a jumpsuit on. Um, do you have a pad?
And did you stay and watch the site? Have you been here pretty much since then?
Well, we waited for the police to come, and then we've talked to them a bit. But
Have you seen anybody else? Did anybody go near the truck, or did anybody remove anything from it that you saw?
we didn't see anyone do anything like that. No one went near it till the police came.
Okay. Um, okay, and then in which direction exactly did the man run in after he left?
He came right over to the same side as us and scrambled up the embankment and then disappeared into the housing blocks back there.
Okay. All right. And what color was his jumpsuit?
It was dark green. Had some kanji on the back. If you have a pad, I can try to remember what the kanji were.
Sure. I give him like a little notebook or.
Yeah, presumably you've got one. Yeah, he just scribbles out the kanji. They're a bit vague, but between you and him, you managed to puzzle out that it's Games and Toys Warehouse.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your help. I appreciate it.
Okay. 1 second. Brad, what is wrong with the feed? I see you're watching on X. I assumed it was working. I don't know.
For me, you kind of hung for about 15 seconds when you were first describing the arrival.
Okay. Well, hopefully that sorted itself out. That's just the next thing. All right. Yeah. So, whoever the driver was fled the scene. Was wearing a jumpsuit. With this Games and Toys Warehouse. EY Games and Toys Warehouse. He also confides in you that the guy didn't really look much like a delivery driver. He had big, brightly dyed hair.
Oh, okay.
And some kind of earring. And he tuts disapprovingly and absentmindedly picks up another can that he missed. Right. Meanwhile, Yumika was looking at the actual crash site.
Yeah, only very briefly. I mean, he's not really interested in the. Well, he might be interested in it, but job one here is no escape of tech into the black market, right?
Yeah.
So I think what we need to do is we need to look at this van that was carrying this stuff. Does it have any obvious identifying markings saying it belongs to a trucking company or some kind of firm?
So it's an old pre-mechatronics truck designed for carrying the slightly smaller shipping containers, just by kind of strapping them to the back. So it's an old diesel engine. You know, you can smell the diesel coming off it. The shipping crate is marked and up to date. With a little bit of help from your magical internet watch, you can see that this crate came from the Foteyosai. And according to the records that you're able to access through your police contacts, that's a small general cargo ship with a Japanese name but sailing under a Singaporean flag and destined for China.
And Does this crate have on it markings which would indicate that it has yet to go through customs on its way out? Is that the implication, or has it come in?
So, double checking everything, it seems like this actually came in that way. So, that seems a little odd, because looking over the spilled, exoframe parts and mechatronics parts, some of them are Chinese knockoffs, sort of cheap imitation stuff. The registration numbers, like the VIN numbers and things, have all been laboriously filed off everything that once had them. But there's some exoframe material that looks a little bit old. But then why would you smuggle, Yokohaman exoframe materials back into Yokohama from outside when the real money's to be made from smuggling it out? It doesn't make an enormous deal of sense to you straight away.
And does the truck itself have a manifest saying what it was meant to be, allegedly carrying?
So when you clamber into the cabin, quite laboriously because you're old, and it's quite precariously, you have to kind of lay on the side of the truck and lean in. Everything's fallen down to the opposite side, but there doesn't seem to be a manifest or anything similar. There's a bobblehead still stubbornly stuck to the driver's panel, and there's a lingering smell of marijuana.
So we've got
Like-
no way of knowing. We don't know if we can't know if anything's missing since we don't have a manifest, right?
No.
But
If you had to guess, you don't think anything's missing.
No, because they're substantial bits of engineering, aren't they?
Yeah, it's not the sort of thing you could normally just sort of pick up and stroll off with.
So it doesn't really matter whether it was being smuggled in or out. The point is, in one way or another, it's an illicit consignment.
Can we approach the cops? Can I approach one of the cops and ask them about if they've got any information on the vehicle that hit the truck?
So yeah, that was basically a small water pump truck that was under contract to the city to pump out some flooded basements in some of the apartment blocks nearby. Just wrong place, wrong time.
Okay.
The CCTV footage, you see the big truck failed to turn its lights on in the darkness underneath the overpass. And so that might explain why it got hit.
Okay. Well, I would approach Shiro and tell him basically everything I learned from the witness, and ask him what he's determined from the wreck site.
My supposition, Mr. Tokuta, is that this consignment was traveling illicitly. Like all criminals, and here he speaks with a degree of contempt which implies familiarity. Like all criminals, they are, in some senses, though devious, very lazy and cheapskates. They hire somebody to drive this truck. Nobody of any consequence, of course, because what happens if he gets caught? this man indulges his habit. Take a whiff of the cabin. You'll soon see what I mean. Indulges his habit. Addled, he comes onto the freeway, strikes the other truck, and then, realizing immediately the danger he's in, because he clearly knows that he's up to something he shouldn't be, flees the scene.
Well, Cheryl, I believe we should probably, try to track this individual down, the driver. We know he headed into these buildings near here. I feel like that's probably our next step. Do you?
I'm going to presume we weren't so fortunate as he dropped his wallet in the cab, or it came loose in the crash, or anything like that. There's no way, or that there's no central registration of who's driving what truck. Actually, the trucking company, he surely gave a false name.
Well, we have the game the warehouse. The game warehouse that was on the back of his shirt. We could start there.
Yeah, and the ship that this container came from. So, there's several different leads you could follow. You could try and track this guy down, but it's been a while. You could check the ship, the Foto Yosai, or there's the Iwai Games and Toys warehouse, which he was wearing the jumpsuit of.
Which one do you think, Shira?
My instinct is that the overalls were a decoy, but on balance, I'd rather deal with some shady warehouse company in the city than have to deal with port authorities, customs officials, etc., etc. So on that basis, let's go with the warehouse company first.
Sounds fine to me.
Okay. Is there anything you want to do before Takuta drives you both to the warehouse?
Is there any decent CCTV footage of the driver who fled? If not, can we get the witnesses to do a make a face before they go?
Well, considering this is the Yokohama sort of high-tech test bed area, there's probably very nice high-resolution CCTV images. They're using low light, so you can't make out the colors and so on particularly, but you've got a decent profile image of the guy.
Okay, enhance frame 238 to 439. Give me a hard copy right there.
Ew, hard copy. Yeah, well, there's probably a little high-tech office suite built into the console of the little company car that you've got, so you can get a print out of his face. Yeah, he's got a little faux hawk, looks like, and a big safety pin earring with one end of it is shaped like a skull.
I'm looking for anything that might identify him, i.e. tattoos, missing minor digits.
He's pretty covered up, so you can't really tell. He could be just some punk, or he could be a member of a gang. It's hard to tell. You'd need to see more.
Okay. Well, at least we've got a face to show to people.
Yeah. Okay. One sec. All right. So, you pull up close to the warehouse. This whole area has been scheduled for demolition and replacement with more up-to-date warehouse buildings as part of the whole remaking of the whole area. But for one reason or another, the scheduled demolitions and things have been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. There's a whole bunch of temporary fencing around much of the area, and there's several warehouses here, sort of right on the waterfront, with the rest right on the main roads. It's not big enough here for any ships to actually dock here, but it looks like a holdover from the past when smaller ships were transporting things. The warehouse you're after is the Iwai Toys and Games warehouse. There's lots of graffiti over everything here, making it slightly harder to find the right place because its old signage has been worn away or covered over, but you do eventually pick out the right one. This is the Iwai Toys and Games warehouse.
So, given my background, I know that, or I presume I would know that when a building is dedicated to a purpose other than its ostensible one, there tend to be things that might indicate that. Like, miraculously, it's got bloody great razor tipped wire around it rather than, tatty old chain link fences. The cameras might look in at the building rather than out on the street, things like that. So I'm looking for any kind of guidance like that to suggest that this is not what it appears to be.
So you've got this outer ring of temporary fencing, then each warehouse had its old security fencing and so on. Most of the other warehouses, their fencing's been cut through and trashed. The fencing around the Iwai warehouse looks like it's kept up to some degree. Not particularly well, but the fence is largely intact. The CCTV cameras, at least the visible ones around it, seem to have been smashed, though. And someone has stuck a bunch of cheap sort of webcam CCTV cameras up instead, aiming inwards. It looks like there's quite a lot of traffic in and out of here because the old sort of roadways and driveways leading in and out of the warehouse are quite broken up and potholed at this point. Also, almost every other building has had all of their windows smashed. Probably people going in to rip out the copper and so on. But this warehouse, the windows have been boarded up afterwards.
And I'm going to presume from your description that our little government issue sedan is going to stand out here, isn't it? If we just park it outside.
Yeah.
Try to pull it around to, somewhere out of sight so that we can approach the building by foot. A little less obvious.
Yeah. You can hide it a couple of warehouses away, between a couple of buildings. It should be relatively safe there. And then you guys can saunter over.
Well, now, Mr. Takuta, do we want necessarily to confront these people? After all, my guess is if they've just lost a major illicit shipment, they're going to be on their guard right now. They're going to be cleaning house. They're going to be making sure that nobody around is of any consequence and so on and so forth. But I see here several potential vantage points from which we can keep an eye on this place. See who comes, who goes.
Do a stakeout. That's fine with me. I mean, one of us can, I assume, do the rear on one side and one could do the front on the other side. Position ourselves to where we can kind of sort of see,
Yeah, how many ways in and out are there, and can we get eyes on? I mean, presumptively, it's a warehouse. It's got a fence around it. They're not going to want to have multiple points of entry, are they? They're going to want one gate going in and out, I would assume. But
yeah, so one main gate, but then there'll be fire escapes and so on. And it's got an upper level where there maybe were a few offices or record keeping or whatever of what was in there. So there is an upper level with a fire escape that runs down as well. So there's a loading gate on the road side. This is one of the more inner warehouses. and then on the side, on the bottom level, there's a couple of doors for workers to come in and out, and then fire escapes in the rear, and another couple of fire escapes on the upper level.
So I think the major thing for us is road in and out, because after all, nobody's going to walk here now, are they?
We may catch a glimpse of people coming out to smoke or, do something like that. So we might be able to get it, if we're watching both sides, I mean, we might be able to catch a glimpse of who might be, might just pop out here or there, to catch some fresh air or, whatever else, talk on the phone or, something.
Yeah, so best possible view, particularly of the loading dock and any vehicle access. As long as we've got those covered, I'm not really worried about anything else, because we can't cover it all. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I will go and get a blanket from the rear of the car and put it over my shoulder, and I'll let Takuta go first into this. We're looking obviously for an abandoned warehouse that gives us this vantage point, and I'll let Takuta go first, because it doesn't matter if his suit gets ruined.
Right. Can you both make knowledge rolls, please?
Let's see, knowledge 2.
A 9 and 2 2s.
So 1 success.
5 and a 7.
So that's 2 successes. Okay. Can Shiroi please make another knowledge roll with 3 extra dice?
Right, so that's an 8, a 2, and a 2, and then for the 3, a 3, a 10, and another 3. So what did I say?
Okay.
An 8 and a double, so a crit success and an 8.
Cool. All right. So yeah, you settle in for a long watch. With your ramen noodles and your pot of coffee or whatever, because you need supplies for a proper stakeout. And you can stay in touch via your watches. Nothing happens for a very, very, very long time. And then a guy comes out one of the fire escapes. He's wearing a boiler suit, but stripped down and tied off around his waist, with a vest on top. He's got tattoos down his arms. He's got the faux hawk. He looks like your guy from the crash site. He lights up a big conical shaped cigarette and takes a few big puffs as he struts up and down the fire escape section, getting some fresh air. At about the same time as he makes his appearance, a little updated sort of mechatronic pickup truck comes trundling through. The guy hops out, undoes the padlock to open up the gate, and they trundle their little vehicle further on in. The back section of this little pickup has a big blue tarp, really severely lashed down over the back of it, covering something lumpy. Once they got the gate open, they drive it into the warehouse proper.
Okay, and there's you say there's that must have gone through the single wide access loading bay doors. Is that right?
Yep.
Did they shut and lock the fence gate behind them when they came through?
No, they didn't.
It'd be really awkward if somebody drove a car up there and blocked their exit, wouldn't it?
That would be super awkward.
So you said we can communicate through our watches then?
Yep.
Okay. Sure. Looks like they left the gate open. Should one of us make a move to get in?
I mean, just for clarity, I know I don't look it, but I'm nearly 80 years old.
So should I?
Well, no, I'm just thinking about if one of us goes on foot and one of us takes the car, it's probably better for me to take the car. What with one thing and another, mecha super suits underneath our clothes, notwithstanding, perhaps not tipping our hat just yet. So if I go and get the car, and I will literally just drive it in and park it in front of their loading bay doors, so that thing isn't going anywhere.
Okay.
And if they get away, because there's multiple exits, it is what it is. We can only do so much. But the point is, if we're right, and if that's tech that should not be going anywhere, we've secured that, which is the primary objective. We can worry about who's doing it later.
Okay. Well, so while you do that, I'll go by foot and try to sneak in the gate, or at least grab the lock, make sure that it doesn't, that someone doesn't come out and put it on.
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to sneak close enough to see what they're up to, or
yeah, I'm gonna try to sneak down to the gate and then grab the lock. Because did they hang the lock back on? They just didn't lock it.
The padlock's still hanging off. So
right. So yeah, I'd like to take the lock so that if someone comes out, they can't relock it. And then if I feel like it looks like it's clear, then maybe I'll try to get in closer and hide. If I can try to find like a stack of crates or barrels or something to kind of
get something convenient.
Advantage.
Yeah. Can you make an agility roll, please?
Agility? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's 3. Okay. Let's see. 7, 8, and a 3.
Okay. Right. Yeah. You creep up without being seen. They're undoing all the bungees around the back of the thing. There's a whole bunch of smaller crates and boxes scattered everywhere, and you can see a few bits and pieces of machinery, but much of it seems to be somewhat scrapped. They're dragging some things like angle grinders and so on out from hidden places around this section of the warehouse. And as you're watching, as Yumika drives your little electric car almost silently in the way of their escape, the last of the bungees pops away, and a wrecked, illegally modified exoframe is revealed on the back of the little pickup truck. They take down the back, attach a winch to it, and start dragging it off the back of the truck.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just stay hidden until he makes his move. I mean, at this right now.
We have remote comms though, right? So you're giving me a narrative. You're giving me a narrative of what you're seeing. Yeah. Oh, how tempted am I to? I don't know. Here's where I'm going to need some genre guidance. You see, because there's a tiny part of me that wants just to drive this car straight through the gate into the back of that thing and just. But I don't know whether is that doing. I don't know whether that's within the scope.
With reason, that would be okay, but Japanese mindset, you wouldn't want to damage company issued equipment without good reason.
Exactly, and it's doing its job, stopping them from leaving. So okay, fair enough. All right, so I will just Tesla-like, but hopefully without the battery catching fire or the doors refusing to open when I get there. We'll roll this thing up so it's right up against the gate. I'm going to presume that they are going to hear this at this point. There's no way of not.
It's kind of a luck thing, I think, because they are starting to use machinery and they've got winches and stuff going. Yeah. No, you're okay. I haven't heard you.
All right, so I will park the car right up against the loading bay doors so that there's no room to maneuver anything around it. Take the keys out. Now, I don't know where Tokuta is, actually, unless he's going to...
I'll join him after he pulls up, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you can sneak out easily enough. There's a loud ringing clang inside, presumably from them towing the exo-frame off the back of the truck onto the ground.
But you say there are fire escapes leading up to a first floor.
Yeah.
Peeking in through the windows, is this open to the first floor, or is the warehouse kind of double height, as it were, so we can look down on this scene if we go up?
The warehouse is double height, but our friend with the faux hawk is currently smoking on the upper level.
Yeah, I was going to ask if he's still there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's having to keep relighting his spliff, so it's taking him a while.
You Camberwell carrot, man. Do you think, Mr. Tokuta, that you would be able to place this man on the roof in custody without attracting any other attention?
I mean, if we can, well, he's up above us, right? So we would need to lure him to us, or I don't see that we can sneak up a fire escape and catch him by surprise.
Well, remember, you can partially activate your Victor suit.
Yeah, this is my...
Yeah, and your one has an aerial unit, so you can...
Yeah, I was going to say, I can fly or whatever, yeah.
Myself as well, you see. So maybe we both of us just whip up there and...
Up there real quick.
Actually, I think mine hovers. I'm not sure actually mine allows me to fly. It's only ground-to-ground movement that it allows me to do that. So I think probably you're going to have to get up there and grab him, and I will just have to follow manually. Oh, me knees! Oh!
Yeah, and can I... What about the adept... the model thing, can I activate that as well? Like
that's only if you go full on Convictor Drive mode. That's
okay.
like
all right.
It's like your final move sort of thing.
Okay, I was to try to make it so I know for sure I'd get a success. I was going to try to use that +4, the bonus there. So, okay, then I'm all for it. I mean, I can partially activate and try to fly up. Maybe like, not the side where he's at, like up to the roof above him, and then try to drop down on him.
Yeah. So you activate the effect. The wing section and sort of rear of the torso section materializes on your back. There's a brief whoosh as the engines kick in. You hurtle up into the air and then hurtle down on this guy where he's sort of leaning on the frame at the side, and land on top of him. His head rams down into the railing, and he's knocked Spark the fuck out.
Okay. All right. I use my watch and let Mr. Shiro know that the way is clear.
And it's a clang, clang, clang of my immaculately tailored handmade shoes on the iron D-rings of the fire escape. Yes, I'll be right there, Mr. Sakuta. Clamber up to the roof level.
Stairs, my arch nemesis. Fortunately, they're now playing loud music and angle grinding things inside, so they don't hear you laboriously huffing and puffing your way up the stairs.
Okay, so I'm presuming that we have like zip ties and things, don't we, that we can hold tie this fella.
And then you can... Yes.
Is there any point interrogating him, trying to interrogate him?
I mean, should we? I mean, obviously, I mean, since we're in this culture, should we take a look at his tattoos and see if we see anything
Yes,
that
good point.
that might indicate his allegiances?
Absolutely. Yep. Well remembered.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So, upon closer examination, hang on, what's my tab? My plot in it. Upon closer examination, he's Korean, not Japanese, but all of his proper clothes and so on seem to be locally made, not from Korea. So presumably he's an immigrant. Not that many of them around, but you know. The tattoos are an eclectic mix, but the newest ones that look the least faded and fuzzy would seem to indicate membership of the Reaper gang, which would tie in with a lot of the graffiti tags and so on you've seen around the place.
What do I know about them?
Relatively small time, often used as like couriers, go-betweens, gophers by other forces at work. It's mostly petty crime, soft drugs, vice, extortion, some tech crime, but nothing big scale really most of the time.
Play K-pop music too loud.
Yeah, antisocial.
I think it is one of those rare moments where me and my character's attributes happen to align perfectly. Any volume of K-pop is too much.
Mr. Shiro, we are going to have to take them out.
Well, the big enemy corporation is called BDS, which is nearly BTS. So,
all right, is it worth interrogating him?
Well, I think we came up here to check the windows. I mean, should we take a look inside?
Yeah, let's just see whether we need to. In other words, how much eyes can we get on the entire building? How many opportunities are there for people to be concealed, etc., etc. And then, if that's the case, we'll have to ask him how many people we're up against.
Yeah. Well, we're still in the investigation phase, so it wouldn't be a full-on fight, even if you did get into one. So that's worth remembering. So yeah, creeping inside, you find yourselves on this upper section. There's some gutted offices off to one end, probably for the supervisors and stock takers and so on. Most of the actual warehouse building is largely empty. There are a bunch of smaller crates and boxes down there as well, and this little pickup truck. They've dragged this heavily damaged modded exoframe off the back of that onto the ground and are basically cutting it up into pieces, inexpertly rifling through, trying to find things that are salvageable and so on. The thing looks like it was in a fight. It's covered in dents and broken open pieces of metal and scorch marks and so on. The piles of stuff, the crates, about half of them seem to be cheap Chinese knockoff exoframe parts. And the other half seem to be largely empty boxes with the aforementioned BDS logos on them. That's more high-tech stuff that rivals even drives technology occasionally.
So you said that it looked like it was damaged and stuff. Is there anything currently going on in the world where it would have, sustained that damage, or maybe they're doing some sort of Fight Club sort of thing, and
Sometimes exoframes are used by criminals, and so they come up against police, security services, and drive. So it could have been damaged in that way. There are illegal sort of exoframe fights that people stage and bet for money, so it could be that. or maybe they've used it to attack gang rivals or something, and it's come back damaged.
Okay. All right.
And to be clear, they are clumsily disassembling this thing. They're not being surgical about it. They're just sort of
right.
Yeah, and the tools and so on here. There's not the equipment here for constructing these things, putting them together, or maintaining them. Just taking them apart.
Now, the corporation that you've mentioned a couple times, what would our knowledge? Do we know that they're dabbling in illegal activities, or are they shady? Or are they? I mean, like, are they known shady, or are they?
So they're basically a private military contracting company that also dabbles in construction of military equipment and so on. It's called, I think it's Balanced Delivery Services. So they kind of fund and equip, horrible regimes and things around the world. They're heavily backed by the Americans, but they have offices here. Their technology is at the upper end of the available exoframe stuff. It's still no real match for drive technology, but it's the closest rival. And they do have some power suits, also you've heard rumored while you were being trained, that can rival Convictor suits. But they keep those close to their chest.
So instead of talking to Shiro, I mean, I assume our watches can text too. So, I mean, like, so that we're not heard. I mean, I just try to text him, like, what are your thoughts, Mr. Shiro? Do you want to, should we try to stop them, or, how we want to take care of this?
so nobody that we can see stands out as being leadership material. Nobody's directing these people. There's nobody standing around in a white coat or anything like that, sort of saying, no, that's the bit we want, or anything like that. It's just like three guys or however many.
Yeah. Probably 4 guys. It's like half of them are immigrants from the look of them. Maybe one Korean, maybe one Vietnamese. The others just look like regular, Japanese punk low lifes.
Is there an office?
Yeah, I did describe the office. It looks gutted, so you don't know that there'll be much there for you to check out. But
I'm just wondering whether we should follow, let them go ahead and do what they're doing and then follow them, and they leave, or do we want to confront them and then just try to interrogate them? I mean, it seems like the two main options, but we need to get back to the car and move it before they know it's there. If we're gonna tail them.
That's yeah.
I mean, I'd like to know where these other crates are going. The more the BDS crates. Or are they going to take those somewhere, or I'm curious what.
Yeah, the trouble is there's 2 improbabilities here, isn't there? Improbability number 1 is that they very handily left some paperwork in the office. Improbability number 2 is that these hired fucking monkeys who are basically just kind of cutting this thing up with oxyacetylene torches actually know remotely what they're involved in.
Right.
Both of those scenarios seem pretty unlikely to me. So on balance, I think I would agree with you, Mr. Tokata. We should let this fish have a little bit of line.
Okay. I mean, I think we probably have time to check the office real quick if you want to run down. I can run down there and look in there real quick while you just keep an eye on them. And then,
Yeah, if you want to follow them, you're going to have to move the car out of the way, though.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
so again, going back to maneuverability and things like that, my suggestion would be is that we reverse the process. I will go and check the office. You go and move the car because you can get to it quicker. It doesn't look like they're going anywhere anyway, but all we need is for one of them to come out and have a smoke, and that's it. We're knackered.
Yeah.
So
well, and I'm gonna have to take the guy we've already attacked with me, so I'll have to carry him.
Yes, also true.
So, yeah, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to. Yeah, 'cause otherwise,
Not a problem if you partial activate your suit.
yeah.
Carry
So okay,
ammunition.
then that sounds good. Then I'll head to the outside to grab the dude, our purple haired friend, and use my jets to just get down to the ground quickly, and then shove him in the trunk, and or
It's
whatever.
tight fit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you said it was a little electric car. I'm picturing one of those
Yeah.
little Geos or whatever, this little, or whatever the little two person cars are.
Probably a little bit bigger.
We need a human
Or is
sized
it-
trunk at least, yeah.
Yeah, probably the equivalent of a Nissan Micra, but electric.
Okay, all right. So
Okay.
then,
And then what Shiroi wants to... Do you want to check the offices, or are you just going to laboriously climb down?
If it can be done, bearing in mind my agility is 1, if it can be done without any risk of alerting these people, then yes, I will. If it looks remotely dodgy, I think we just stick with plan A. Just let's see where this takes us.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, you retreat back to the car, and then you roll it out of the way and wait for them to leave so you can follow them. Right. Okay. All right. Quite a while later, long enough for you to get bored, and for the guy in the trunk to wake up and start banging on the inside. They do trundle outwards with much less stuff in the back of their little pickup. Now they turn around, turn the lights on. As it's starting to get dark, you've been at this a long time, and they drive away carefully. You slip in behind to follow them. What would be appropriate? I can add that into the check for this section. Not enough skills. Let me see what would be appropriate. Brawling, definitely not. Agility, maybe. Knowledge, no, not really. Negotiation, no. Mechatronics, no. Suppression, no. Okay, so... Alright, make an agility roll with a bonus die for the car.
That's you. That's all you, Takuta.
You muted.
so 4 total. Then
I checked your sheet.
you said a bonus die,
Yeah.
so 3 plus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you could use your trajectory predictor as well if you wanted for another bonus dice.
I got a 6, a 4, a 6, and a 2.
Okay, so that's 2 successes. Which should be enough. Okay. Right. You follow them along. They're quite easy to follow with the tarp flapping on the back and the poor state of their little pickup. Sorry. Yes, Malwinius. That's what we're playing. Yeah. So yeah, the cities come alight at night. Mechatronics have made projections of 3D holograms and things viable. So you're seeing a lot of projections and lights everywhere. The whole city sort of transforms from this fairly sterile, high tech, sort of Mirror's Edge, Singaporean sort of utopian clean future to something a lot more interesting at night. And as you follow them, they make their way not that far from where you started to a little district that's sort of laid out for people to enjoy themselves of an evening. So there's a whole bunch of pachinko parlors, maid cafes, nightclubs, things like that. They pull into the sort of back streets and alleys behind all of that, which is horribly cluttered and trashy looking compared to everything else around here, which is all clean and shiny looking. And they pull up at the back of one of these buildings. Looks like a big gambling or pachinko hall from the look of things. And they pull into the back walled off area of that and seem to stop, and their lights go out.
Okay, well, I'll try to pull the car to where we can have a look, look at him, but stay, far enough away that we can not be obvious.
Yeah, you can hear music playing from multiple venues, creating a sort of clashing tapestry of different awful music. Flashing lights change the way the shadows are moving constantly. You see their shadows briefly sort of shine up against the wall, and they seem to be going down into somewhere and carrying stuff.
Okay. Under the pachinko?
Under the pachinko hall, yeah.
Well, yeah. So my understanding, is that usually you play the games there, and then you take your balls next door and you buy something to get the cash, right? So
Or they give.
Yeah. So is there like the store next door? So maybe we could. I'm just thinking maybe we could go in there and then like see if they have like a basement. Like maybe they're connected underground or something.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could go into the next door building and check around.
What do you think, Mr. Shira?
Shiroi is lost for a moment. The sort of clack 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 of the pachinko machine paddles and the rattling of the balls and the bing 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 high pitched kind of ringing bell sound, and in his own mind, this kind of fades away to the sound of a man's ribs being broken in a muddy alleyway. He sort of shivers. I'm sorry, Mr. Dakota. Again, please. You were saying?
Well, I was just thinking that maybe the two buildings, since they're probably partnered, maybe there's a back way to wherever they're taking these parts instead of following them down a one way in, one way out option for us.
Yes, I concur.
Okay, so I guess maybe we'll go into the sister building, where people are exchange the balls and kind of take a look real quick and see what our options there are. Like if looks like there's a back door, or maybe some stairs going down, or something like see how we can just sort of case the joint.
Yeah. So this building is a little bit larger, a little bit longer, extends further along the street front. There do seem to be doors connecting this building to the one next to it. They've crammed even more pachinko machines into here, and there's a whole bunch of old arcade games and newer Mechatronic games and things crammed in as well. The music is deafening. There is a heavy smell of cigarette smoke everywhere. You're assaulted by lights and sounds from every angle. It looks like there are karaoke rooms upstairs as well. There's a bar down at one end where a bunch of exhausted looking salarymen are sat drinking, trying to ignore the noise going on around them. It's cramped, it's probably breaking several fire codes, and it's deafeningly loud. And Yumika's practiced eye can pick out a few Yakuza enforcers or thugs hanging out around here. So they probably at least part own the establishment to some extent.
Okay, well, I would be looking for something going down, since to get into the subfloor basement area of the building.
Okay, so there is like a safe trolley being pushed around and emptying the various machines of cash. You don't see a lot of cash in Yokohama. Generally, people use electronic credit transfer and things, but quite a lot of cash seems to get moved around in here. So they're emptying out the machines, filling up the canisters, and then they take the little trolley over to a freight elevator, which seems to go down to an underlevel.
And presumably, this door is not unattended.
No. There is a rather loose-looking guy who screams Yakuza to your eye. He's slightly distracted, flirting with one of the hostesses.
I mean, we could try the old, like buy a drink and spill it on us like we're kind of drunk, and like one of us try to distract him and one of us could try to get down the shaft elevator. I mean, like, if maybe you could play the part of a older gentleman that's had a little too much, and then I can get in there and I can use my jets to get down to the bottom and then get through the elevator and get downstairs. Try that.
Shiroi casts a mordant glance over at the burly Yakuza standing by the door, looks across at Tokuta, and that would work in Okinawa, would it?
I don't know. We can try, or we can go back out to the alley and, I mean, there's no guarantee that the two buildings are connected down there either. I mean, I was just hoping for another way in, and it seems a little bit direct assault to go right through where they're going.
If I might suggest a rather more, and he's searching for the word, he genuinely can't think of the word, a slightly more honest approach, shall we say.
Absolutely.
So Shiroi is going to walk right up to the Yakuza guarding the door.
Okay. He turns slightly away from the slightly older woman in the ill-fitting catgirl costume to look at you. Can I help you, old man?
And I will very ostentatiously hold out my hand with its missing digit.
Okay. He glances down, and then looks up again and sort of weighs you up. Can you make a negotiation roll, please?
Seems infeasible, but okay.
with a bonus die because of your background, which is
Okay.
clearly appropriate.
All right. So actually, that's a 7 and an 8 on the bonus die. So 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay. All right.
And I'm
Yeah.
gonna try and frame this, if I may. So I'll say, if I wanted to rob you, I wouldn't walk up to the front door.
Yeah. And he straightens up and bows his head slightly. Yeah, shoo, he says to the woman, who scurries off to offer drinks to people. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know anyone of your senior station was visiting.
Well, you know, the it's always better when the mice don't know that the cats are about. Yes.
Everything's running smoothly here for the most part. I don't think there's anything that should concern you, sir.
Oh, I'm sure not. But if you'll forgive an old man, and I'm going to heavily play on that kind of respect for age kind of culture thing, whilst being sarcastic at the same time. If you'll forgive the bumblings of an old man, I'll just make sure of that for myself.
Well, of course. What do you want to examine, sir?
The security arrangements below. The counting
Below?
system, of course. Yes.
Oh, for a moment I thought you might be interested in that gang rabble we've rented some space to.
Yes, of course.
Oh,
We're always interested in potential security threats.
Well, they've been quite profitable and not too much trouble, but of course, please. He gestures to the lift and pushes it open. You may lean on me, grandfather, if you need support.
Motherfucker, fuck you. I thank you, but I have here an associate. Mr. Takuta, shall we?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
He seems less convinced by Takuta in his cheap, ill-fitting suit. And sort of, self-consciously straightens his own waistcoat and jacket.
I know,
Right.
I know, but there's only so much you can tell the youngsters these days.
He smiles, and then the lift descends. Right. It opens up. There's a counting room, and beyond the counting room seems to be a workshop. You can see through some windows and things at the end of the counting room. It's a bunch of Pachenko machines that are in various states of disrepair and re-repair. And there's also a couple of big sort of construction frames upon which exoframe suits can be hung up and worked on. There's 2 of these sort of construction frames. One is empty and the other one has an exosuit, an illegally modified exosuit in a state of some disrepair. The people in here, in the back, seem to actually know what they're doing, despite being members of a gang. And there is one guy in a dirty lab coat who seems to be directing them.
Okay, so let me just get this clear in my own brain. This is visible from the count room.
From the counting room, yeah. There's windows in the edge of the counting room to look beyond into the engineering room.
And how many people are in the count room? I'm going to assume that there's probably 2 or 3 people doing the count, plus at least one security.
Yes. 2 women doing the counting and a supervisor who seems to be another Yakuza in a lurid purple suit.
And did the guy come down? And did the other Yakuza come down in the elevator with us, or did he stay up top?
He came down with you, and after you've taken all this in, he says, "Oh, well, as you can see, everything's running properly." It's one of the few places you can still get a lot of cash in Yokohama, so very useful, untraceable. Well, nearly.
Yes, yes, yes. And I'm sure neither of you gentlemen would be skimming off the top. Hmm?
Of course not, sir.
Of course not. You might consider, he said, looking at the windows, which kind of, you might consider painting over those windows.
They're mirrored, grandfather. We can see them, they can't see us.
Ah, most fortunate. Is there an obvious door into this other chamber?
Yes, there is.
Secured how?
It has a code lock on it.
The code? Asking one or either of the Yakuza.
They glance at the guy who brought you down, and then he reluctantly gives you the code. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And this does not surprise Shiroi at all. These fucking knuckleheads.
The same combination on your luggage.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, that's senility. That's that's forgivable. God damn. Sorry, I'm aware that we can't sit here and talk about this without.
Right, I was about to ask, would our training have given us maybe a basic code word language or something, like where we could say something and the other person at least knows we should be wary, or we should be cautious, or
you probably got some basic sort of military hand signals, but not like sign language or anything.
Okay, so I just like to signal then that that I'll stay back a little, and if he wants to take the Yakuza guard kind of ahead, I'll kind of float to the back, a little bit behind both of them, so that I can have the upper hand if something goes down.
No, we don't want to drag. No, we don't want to drag these people into it. No, okay. So whatever the hand signal is for, I hate these situations. No, I'm just going. No. There's no need for any of that. I'm just going to say, Mr. Takuta, please follow me, and I'm going to punch the code in the door.
Beep 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 clunk. Right.
And I'm going to push. I'm going to push the door open, and I'm going to hold it open and say, "Mr. Takuta, after you."
All right, I'll walk in.
Okay. There's the guys from the warehouse. So 4 guys, plus this technician, plus another couple of people who are maybe engineers. But they all have that same sort of Reapers gang look to them, with the bright hair and the tattoos and the kind of punk look and attitude. Mix of languages shooting around: Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese.
Can we use our weapons as supplementaries, or do they have to come out as it were?
No, you can partially activate. So if you've got an arm cannon or something, you can just manifest that.
Yes, more particularly, so once Mr. Takuta has gone through the door, I will step through. I will close the door. As I'm doing so, I will activate my kinetic greatsword, and I literally just want to smash that key lock so that it's broken and the door is locked between us and the Yakuza.
Okay.
I am presuming there's another way out of here before I do that. I'm going to just double check.
There's the back way out. Yeah, so you enter, and then you swiftly turn around, and an enormous robot arm manifests itself with this huge blade, which you then use to smash the lock. And it sort of melts the edges of the metal, and they glow and fade away. Everyone inside stops what they're doing, turns and stares as it melts back into your suit.
Okay.
Shit, says the guy in the, in the white lab coat.
I want to step forward towards the guy in the coat and tell him, say, your security sucks. We have your other accomplice in the back of our car, and we were easily able to follow you here. What's your excuse?
Excuse? Excuse for what? Bad security?
Exactly.
Well, it's obvious you guys are with Drive, so you know we're busted.
Oh,
Okay, take us in.
all right. I was hoping to fake that we were
Yeah, not after that.
not after the alarm. Okay, so now obviously our technology is giveaway. Okay, all right. Shira?
Well, I'm going to move between, so I'm interposing myself between them and the exit. They don't look like they're trying to flee, but just to
Yeah, you shuffle across while they're all still in shock and trying to surrender. Interpose yourself between them and the exit.
I'll stay between them and the door just in case the door does get busted, inward. I can be there to stop them.
I'll flip my umbrella around so that I'm holding it by the tip, and then using the hook of the handle, I will pull a chair across. Pull a chair across to me and sit down.
Good to get the weight off your feet.
Exactly. Right, gentlemen. Who wants to go first?
One of them leans across. It's just an old man. We can rush him before he changes.
Can I make my sword appear?
Yes.
I'll do that.
Thermal blade, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So you wave that around to intimidate them. Yeah, and any thought of rebellion seems to dissipate. Okay, to interrogate them, can you both make either a negotiation roll to interrogate them or a suppression roll to kind of beat and threaten the information out of them? You can both have a bonus die for having flashed your weapons.
From the descriptor, it sounds like I should be making the negotiation roll and you should be making the suppression roll, Takuta. Does that sound reasonable?
I mean, I'm better at negotiation, but
okay. No, that's fine. If you, then you go ahead, take over the narrative and just go for it, and I'll do suppression.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, wow. Okay. It turns out that an 80-year-old man with an umbrella and an expensive suit must be really fucking intimidating. 2 10s and a 9.
Natural deference to
yeah, all right.
Okay, and Takuta?
965.
So 2 successes. Okay. All right. Yeah, they fold like
Takuta's suit.
Like Takuta's suit, yeah, like a cheap suit. Yeah, so they're in defeat. They kind of sit down, scattered around the room, keeping their hands up until they get tired, and then putting them back up again. What do you want to get from them?
So what we've established so far is that they are minor, as far as we know, they are all minor hoods who are at the lower end of this chain of smuggling tech. In, out, doesn't really matter. The point is it's a leak.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen any concrete example yet of that tech, have we? Illegally modified, yes, but not anything that is full on mechatronic.
No. I mean, stuff is still being smuggled in and out, which is illegal. And you did see the BDS crates at the warehouse, which is stuff they shouldn't have been able to get hold of.
Yes. So I suppose the obvious question is and I think we're wasting our time talking to anybody except the lab tech guy. Who pays you?
Who pays? We make money off the fights. We've got a champion mech.
Okay. What about the crates, the BDS crates?
We lift them. Our pilot, he's got a contact, lets him know when stuff's going to be vulnerable, and then we swoop in and we take it. Use it to keep Black Tiger on form.
Marvelous. Who is this contact?
I don't know. You'd have to ask our pilot.
Call him now. Arrange a meeting.
He's at a fight.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I phrase that as a request?
He's not going to pick up. That's my point. He's in a fight. I can tell you where the fight is.
Go on then.
Okay.
What? Just curious. What would our backup like situation be like? So, like, obviously, we don't want to leave. Obviously, we can't leave these people here because they'll just get untied by the Yakuza, and then they'll get on a phone and let them know that we're coming. I mean,
Yeah,
like, do we have a way?
We'll
You
just
can call in the
call
regular
cop.
cops.
Yeah.
Right,
you can call
yeah.
in the regular
Okay.
cops to deal with them.
All right.
Okay, tonight's fight is on board the Fossa Yosai.
All right.
Some Chinese gang brought their suit over for a match. So yeah, it's big bucks. You're both muted if you're saying anything.
What
No,
kind of credentials do you need to get into one of these fights?
He might get in. You're not.
Okay.
You gotta look the part, or you gotta have the money. Maybe if you're betting, if you got a lot of money.
Well, there is a lot of money right next door.
That's true, and it's cash, which would be the right kind.
Oops. Sorry. So go back around and come back down again to the lift. Sorry. Just one more thing.
I was just going to kick the door in from this side. Take the money. Well, obviously, we need to call the police and get these people wrapped up before we can do anything.
Yeah, I mean we've got the next link in the chain now, haven't we?
Yeah.
So I think if they've got any sense that they'll compartmentalize this, I doubt very much that their mech pilot, whatever, is going to tell them who his contact is, because that would be stupid. So they don't know. But now we know that he does. Yes, I don't see any reason that we should detain ourselves with these goons any longer. They're not going to have anything useful for us to know. Well, it doesn't seem to me that they're going to have anything useful to know. But if you disagree or think there's something else worth having, but I'm minded to just call the cops and have these guys rounded up for illegal smuggling of tech and whatever else they can be got for.
being foreign in a public place.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it is Japan, just about one of the most
Yeah.
racist countries on the face of the planet. So where you go.
Right.
Well, I'm still concerned about getting into this fight. I mean, I don't want you to go in there alone. I mean, do you want to try to talk to the Yakuza guy and say, look, we just need some cash to flash around, or, and
Well,
maybe they'll.
Okay, so at the risk of, again, a little bit meta, if as a player, both as a player and a character, my instinct would be fuck going into the fight. We just wait for the pilot to leave, grab him up. But I am aware that this is a game that is supposed to be addressing the various kind of points of interest of the system and the setting and things like that. So I figure we go to the boat and see what we see when we get there.
Yes, it would be more dramatic and suitable for a climactic fight to go to the ship when the fights are on.
Exactly. So there we go. There you go. You see, metagaming. What? It's a great thing.
Yeah, it can be. Okay. All right.
But we need to plan ahead, because I mean, if he says you'll get in there and there's no way I'm getting in there without cash, then I'm gonna have to steal some cash from these. Yeah.
Well, I presume you're just going to take the cash from the Yakuza.
All right. I was going to try to be nice about it, and if I can just kick the door down and be like, "Look, I need a loan."
I think it's funnier if we just sort of fade out, and then you're walking back to the car carrying a big sack of money.
Right, can we take 5 minutes so I can make a cup of coffee and have a slash before the grand denouement?
And then the grand climax of the whole affair.
Okay, right. Cool.
So 5-minute break. I'll take you off and put some music in the background. I'll see you in 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, cool.
All right,
thank you.
Hopefully everyone's back.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're about to head to the big fight. Right. So you leave the Reapers and a handful of Yakuza in the capable hands of the local constabulary, and make your way out to the docks to find the ship, the Fossa Yosai. It is where it is supposed to be, but unusually on the docks before the ship, there's a weird mix of cars and other transportation parked up. Several motorbikes, a couple of limos of ultra modern mechatronic design, a couple of sedans. There's a weird bunch of people also making their way slowly onto the vessel. Some of them look like street punks, some of them look like mid to high ranking Yakuza, some of them look like management types. Quite a lot of foreigners amongst them as well, Europeans as well as Asians. A couple of burly looking Chinese sailors are standing at the bottom of the gangway, checking people over as they board the ship. You can hear distant music playing.
Mr. Shiro, how do you want to handle this?
Oh, well, you. We have substantial sums to wager. Money has no smell.
We did turn over the guy in our trunk, right?
Yes, I assume so. Help!
And we got a description of the pilot, I assume?
Yes. A Korean named Namkang Dae. He's got scars and burns from his fights, so he should be fairly obvious.
Okay. Mr. Shiro, do you want to take the lead as the I don't want to be insulting to
age before beauty.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to refer back to his obvious past. I mean, but do you want to be the front man and I will be the bodyguard again?
Well, we can try it the other way around. He says, looking up and down at his rumpled suit. If you think that will work.
No, I think I'm more comfortable being the muscle.
Quite so, and it's fitting you should carry all of those notes for me. Looking at the sort of duffel bag or whatever he's got weighing him down.
Yeah.
A Hello Kitty backpack.
It's stuffed with cash. All right. So you join the queue to get on board the ship. The couple of muscly, oily looking Chinese sailors stop you, look you over. You're not a regular, he says in terrible Japanese.
No. So?
You got someone to vouch for you?
Oh, wait, one moment. Does anybody know the names of people who appear on Japanese currency in the 22nd century? I don't know. Some emperor or empress or other, I suppose. I don't know.
Who is on Japanese currency? That's a good question.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it could be slightly dodgy. You're not going to put Hirohito or Tojo on it now, are you?
No. Who is the man on Japanese currency? Portraits placed on 10,000 yen notes.
Hideo Nojochi.
Yukichi Fukuzawa, 5,000 yen note. Ichio Higuchi, 1,000 yen note. Hideo Noguchi.
Okay, so what was the what was the 10,000 one? Sorry.
Yukichi Fukuzawa.
Mr.
Sorry.
Mr. Fukuzawa is my sponsor and representative, and I'll just reach into the bag and hand him, I don't know, 30,000. What? How many yen to the dollar? I mean, it's in the hundreds, isn't it?
Yeah, yen isn't worth much.
Yeah, exactly. So I hand him, I don't know, 50,000. If that, you know.
So, Fukuzawa Yukichi was a Japanese educator, philosopher, writer, entrepreneur, and samurai. He founded, busy man, Keio University, a newspaper, and the Institute for the Study of Infectious Diseases.
One
Okay.
yen is only still about 7 cents.
So 50,000, what, $3,500, something like that? Yeah, that seems about reasonable for a bribe, doesn't it?
Yeah. All About the Fukuchizawa. It doesn't have the same ring as All About the Benjamins, does it? Still. Yes, this gentleman will certainly vouch for you.
I thought he might.
Yeah. So you walk up the gangway. It's weird seeing such a prosaic vessel being used for such a purpose, and having so many wealthy people tottering aboard in their expensive shoes and things. But you get access. You get on board. They've moved a bunch of the shipping crates around to make a sort of improvised coliseum, and all of these rich people in their fine clothes and suits are clambering in an ungainly fashion over the various things to get a view of the combat zone in the middle.
Try to iron out some of my wrinkles with my hands.
All right. Is there any particularly high or low vantage point you want to go for?
Maybe try to make our way to the does it look like there's an area where they're prepping the robots, or where maybe the pilots would, are the robots already out there, or the exoskeletons already out there? Or,
they're not out yet.
Okay.
So that they're not visible, nor are the pilots. They're probably, away somewhere either end being prepped.
All right. But does it look like there's the obvious way for them to come out into the arena area?
Yeah, there's crates that are open down on the floor level, so it looks like they'll come out opposite each other and then fight.
Okay. Is there a form book or a program? I'm just thinking, if you think of it as a kind of title fight, as it were, there would be, people would be hawking, how they got to this point, who they defeated to get here, etc., etc., and whether that contains any clues as to their technical capacity.
There are people taking bets who may be able to advise you on the form or whatever. Basically, you could double your money if you back not Black Tiger. So yeah, it's Black Tiger versus Kowloon Massive.
Okay, so in that case, I think the thing to do is we split up and we just listen to the crowd. Gamblers are inherent gossips. They'll talk about, things like, oh, well, or any rules that are in force. For example, no going above moderate height, etc., etc. So we can judge, can they fly, etc., etc. So I guess we're looking out for any kind of intelligence we can pick up amongst the gossiping of the gamblers and anything else.
Yes. Okay, so both of you make negotiation rolls, please, to see what you can pick up.
It's a 6.
Three and a 5.
So no successes and 1 success. Tiger has been winning largely off the back of its greater agility. It's been built using lighter sort of military and security grade components and has some crude jump jets that let it get a little bit of altitude. Whereas most other fighting mechs, they put them together with a view to taking a lot of damage and being hefty. So they don't tend to be as agile.
By the program or just from the betting, do we know how long till the main event's supposed to take place?
Any minute now.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so since I am largely restricted to fighting on one level, and since we've basically been described as a coliseum made out of shipping crates, right?
Yeah.
So the only way that I'm going to be effective is going to be on the ground level. Is going to be on the arena floor. But since this thing evidently has some ability to climb, and I think we've already established that Takuta certainly has that ability. I think Takuta, the sensible thing to do is when this kicks off, is you go for height. I will stay on, try and control the ground.
Okay. I guess at this point I would ask too, like, I mean, as far as our training and stuff goes, I mean, like, wouldn't we be concerned about a fight in close quarters with all these people around? I mean,
it's more important to take out any renegade mechatronics, but you should obviously try and avoid any excessive casualties.
okay.
But this place is designed for these things to have fights in, so
Right. Okay. All right.
okay. A hush slowly falls over the crowd, and then there is a loud honk, like an air horn going off, and both robots come scrambling out of their respective containers. Black Tiger is a more sort of humanoid-looking frame, big boxy arms, one of which ends in a 3-clawed power claw, the other of which seems to have some kind of industrial bolt gun or something on it. You can see the sort of crude strapped-on jump jets and so on. It's like 75% made of pilfered BDS tech from the look of it. Its opposition is a squat 4-legged robot that looks like it's been beefed up from a dock handler. So it has enormous clamps for lifting and moving things like the crates around, and just seems to have been armored up and overpowered. Its battery and engine casing looks kind of slightly blackened and warped, and you can already see heat haze coming off it as it comes charging out. When do you want to intervene?
Well, after one of these fuckers has won and or lost, see if we can't get them to do at least half the job for us.
They clash in a shower of sparks. The Kowloon Massive tries to grab Black Tiger in its claws. You see the jets fire and just kind of flips over and lands behind it. But then he stops, and you hear a booming voice in a Korean accent coming out of the speakers of Black Tiger. It looks up directly towards where Kuya is waiting on the upper level. Stabs out with its claw and says, "Drive!"
I was hoping for the severed and preserved head of Jonathan Pierce to be commentating irritatingly.
So we're combat proper because they know that you're here. Okay, so initiative. Kuya has the highest reserves to start with, and you're on the upper level, but not the sky on one side. The two robots are in the middle on the ground level, and a bunch of the security goons, the thugs from the ship, seem to have taken an interest as well. But the moment that voice booms out, various bodyguards and so on start immediately trying to remove their principals from the site. So you can move and attack on your turn in any order. That uses points from your reserves, and that determines your new initiative level. So you can end up with multiple actions over the course of a whole turn.
And so how much of my stuff can I activate?
Well, you can move and attack, so one of each. There might be other things that provide you bonuses. You can activate those as well.
Well, I was just wondering because I've got the body, since I'm able to, I can, without falling, drop into I can drop, so kind of drop to a lower area and use no movement, cost 0 movement.
Yeah. So you could essentially take to the sky and hold there without having to spend any movement.
Right. Yeah. So can I pull out my handguns and as I'm dropping, just start, like straight from the sky?
Sure. So they got range 1, so that's move. And the attack cost for them is 3. So, and it was free to move to the sky. Okay, so that uses 5 of your reserves, leaving you 8. And you can make an attack roll using 3 dice.
They're
not in the same. They're not in the same square as you. You're 1 square higher than them, so that gives you a bonus die, I believe.
Yes, with height advantage plus 1d.
Yeah, so that's 4 dice to attack.
Okay. 4, 1, 8.
Hang on. So which one were you aiming for?
Oh, sorry. I want to shoot the junky Chinese one first.
Okay, the chunky Chinese one. Right. Those pistols do material damage, don't they? Okay, so you need an 8, 9, or 10 to do damage with your rolls.
So I got 1, 4, 1, 8, 2.
Okay, so that's 1 damage. Okay. All right. So yeah, you leap into the air and slowly sort of glide down, firing away, blazing away with your twin handguns. Most of the heavy rounds ricochet off its armored body, leaving long scars of fresh metal. But you punch through a couple of loose hydraulic tubes, which start spraying oil and snaking around. Doesn't seem to have affected it much at all, but you've at least cracked the armor here and there. Right, so that drops your initiative to 8. Right. Then Black Tigers go, because it's pretty fast. Okay. So Black Tiger activates its jump jets and rises up into the sky, reaching the same level as you before it starts to drop down again. And it lashes out with its claw, trying to grab you. What is your MAT armor rating?
I'm sorry, my
MAT armor rating.
6.
6. Okay, so he needs a 6 or more to grab you.
Oh, in that case, sorry.
Yeah.
In that case, activation cost 1. Attacking target is the attacker of an ally. And it's done when it's choosing target.
Yeah.
Roll 2 dice. If the total is higher than the ENG armor rating of the enemy has to attack me instead by hijacking their targeting system. I don't know whether that works for melee weapons or only targeted weapons, though.
Well, it's got a ranged weapon, so it can switch targets and shoot at you. So,
okay.
Its ENG rating is 6. So roll 2
Okay.
dice.
2 dice, and I need to get total. Okay, wow, that's pretty good. Oh fuck! Except I rolled a 4 and a 1, so no.
Okay. So yeah, you activate your full system, and the little old man is replaced by a gigantic orange armored behemoth. And its various electronic countermeasures activate, but fail to draw the attention of Black Tiger. So, 1, 2, 4. Okay. Its claw smashes into Kuya and rips and rends at the nanotech metal surrounding you. You take 4 hit points of damage.
Ouch.
Yeah. So yeah, you feel the claw pressing in on you. You feel the nanotech bolstering itself and trying to regenerate as you both drop downwards. Though it doesn't manage to get full hold of you. Right. And it's now you again.
Okay, so I assume I continue my downward momentum. As I'm falling, I mean, I'd like to just drop or whatever, if they just disappear or whatever, and manifest my sword and kind of try to drive it right into the body of the clawed machine.
Okay. So you both fall down, but you've got height and weight advantage over the top of him. So you can have a bonus die again. So Thermal Blade, it's an energy attack. His energy defense is 6 as well. His attack cost is 3. And you can drop without it costing you anything. So that. So roll 4 dice for damage. Difficulty 6.
Okay. 9, 5, 2, 3.
So 1.
1.
Okay. Yeah, you drive your blade between a couple of gaps in its frame and try to twist them apart as you both descend back down to the ground, landing not far away from the Kowloon Massive, which is wheeling about trying to figure out what the hell's going on. You pierce some of the metal and your thermal blade heats up, sort of melts away the edges, but it's not pushing as deep as you would have liked. Right. So that changes your initiative again. And that takes down his initiative. Right, Yumika. You're muted, and everyone is at ground level, which is convenient.
There you go. You see, absolutely psychic there. That was exactly the question I was asking whilst muted. Okay, good. Right. So hover unit. So ground-to-ground movement has a 0 cost. I can also move fast. I don't know whether that has a mechanical implication or not.
It can do.
So I want to position myself so that Tokuta and Tiger are between me and Kowloon machine, so that I hopefully can't get attacked by both of them. So maneuver around. I also would like to try and get behind, and obviously if they're both whirling and twirling, I can't do this. But here we go. the point at which I ask my usual perennial fiddly rules question: called shots, head, body,
Yes.
etc., etc.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
a fiddly question.
don't worry about it. Ignore it. It doesn't matter. I'll state what I'm trying to do, and then maybe if I succeed really well, then it happens or not. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
So what I want to try and do is disable this fucker's flying capability,
Okay.
which I am going to use a kinetic battle axe, which has a reserve cost of 3, which takes me to a reserve of 4 because my targeting thing cost 1 earlier on. So I will have a reserve of 4 after this attack.
Yeah.
And I'm rolling 5 dice for this.
Nice.
So that
is it mat or energy?
Mat.
Okay, so difficulty 6.
Okay, so that is an 8, 2 7s, a 2 and a 4. Okay, so 3.
3 damage. Okay. You can either do the damage or break his jump jets. That's what I'm going to say.
I'd rather he was forced to be on the ground with us, so there's no possibility of him getting away. So I'll go for the breaking that jump jet.
Okay, so we'll say 2 damage to smash the jump jets, and then you do him 1 damage generally as well. Alright, so yeah, you thunder forward on your hover jets, slash out with this enormous axe, which manifests out of your arm from the nanotech, and slice off the bulky jump jets from one of his legs. If he does activate them, he'll just fly over and land on his head, so hopefully he won't be that stupid, or will be that stupid. Right. The hoodlums would normally be combatants, but looking at a massive clash of metal going on, they decide discretion is the better part of valor. Plus, it'll help me rebalance the encounter for 2 people, so they decide to leave and throw themselves off the side of the ship into the water, leaving the mecha to duke it out. Right. So, Tiger gets to go again. Sort of pushes away from Kuya, swings around and fires a burst of bolts from his bolt gun.
Okay,
What is your mat?
It's 9. He gets -1 dice because of my shield unit.
Yeah. Sorry, what was it? What was your mat?
9.
Good God.
Apparently, I didn't realize what that meant until you started running this fight, and it's like, oh, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Damn.
Okay. You take 1 damage.
All right.
So yeah, you lift up your shield, and all these bolts just kind of ping and smash off. Except one of them's, well, some of them, they nibble away at the edges of your shield a little bit, weakening it. Right, so that's his 6 initiative. So that's him done. 3. Right. Right. The Massive lashes out with its clamps to try and grab hold of Kuya. What is Kuya's mat rating?
It's a 6.
6.
But I have the head thing. Can I use 1 point and use that?
Yeah. What's it do?
So somehow I can
Trajectory.
anticipate the enemy move and counter it.
Yeah. Okay. After their attack roll, you get to negate one of their rolls. So okay, and he only got 1 success. So if you use that, then you can negate his attack.
Okay.
That means we drop your reserves again. Okay, so it lashes out with its claws. Your programming display comes up. Time seems to slow down. You sort of flip between the claws as they miss. Right, so that's his initiative. Initiative is a bit complicated on this. Right, Kuyosco, you have 4 reserves left.
At 4?
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, 3 just to use. I wanted to use my arm thing, but that's 5. Okay, then I guess I just have to attack with my sword.
Okay, so don't move, just attack. So
Yeah.
that's 3 reserves, leaving you with 1, which I don't think will be enough to do anything, but maybe defend yourself if necessary. Okay, make the attack roll with the blade. No bonus this time.
Okay, so 3 dice?
Yeah. You're attacking Tiger, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So difficulty 6.
Okay. 7, 3, 8, so 2.
Okay. All right. Coming out of your spin, you lash out with your blade, cut like a Z across the front of it in melting metal. Foam comes up from the interior and covers over some of the holes that you've cut in it, as it staggers back and regains its footing. Yumika.
Okay, so again, moving to the point, since movement doesn't cost me anything as long as they're all on the ground, move to some kind of tactically advantageous point, and again attack with the axe, leaving me, I think, with 1 reserve.
Yep.
So,
Which won't be enough to do anything, probably, but...
No, okay, so that is a 10, a 9, a 5, a 2, and a 1. So a 10 and a 9.
So that's 3 successes on Matt 6. So, all right, it is now looking rather worse for wear. Your axe smashes a whole boxer unit off of its shoulder, and its power and agility seems to go down. Sparks are crackling over the surface. Right. So, Tiger's last turn. Right. It twists and tries to move within the reach of this enormous axe and drive its claw into your face. Your mat is 9, right?
It is. And it gets -1 dice because of my shield.
True. Okay. You take 3 damage nonetheless.
Ow!
It would have been 5, but you got to remove a dice. So. Alright, so he lashes out successfully and clamps this claw on your face. It rips back and tears through some of the parts of the helmet, exposing your wizened face beneath.
I had to do one of those kind of anime snarls.
Yes. What? Right. And then the Kowloon Massive tries to ram into you from behind while you're distracted. So 4 dice, because you get to remove 1.
Mm-hmm.
And you're practically invulnerable, so it completely fails to do anything. This enormous, great dock bot lumbers forward on its 4 legs and rams into your ass, and you like scrape forward like an inch on the deck. Physics, that's for other people.
Sparks flying off from where the metallic soles of my shoes grate against the deck, kicking up a couple of rivets and knocking the heads off them as I go over the top of them.
Right. I don't think you can do anything with the single points of reserves that you have left.
I can
unless you want to correct me.
The only thing I can do is if he targets Tokuta, I can possibly force it to target me, but that's it.
Yeah, but they've had their turns.
Oh,
so-
right, they've run out of reserve as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
they've run out of goes. All right, so new turn. Kuya.
Okay. Well, this I'm going to try to max out my stuff here. So I've got the arms that I can use 2 points, and then it targets user's attack dice after attack roll. Designate 3 rolled dice your choice to do energy damage. So can I do that? So do I do extra damage essentially?
Let me have a look. So it's the arms alpha energy transformer. Three rolled dice of your choice to do energy damage. Okay, so that allows you to swap mat damage to energy damage. That won't be worth it against Black Tiger because he's got the same defense against both, but it would be worth it against the Kowloon Massive, which has lower defenses against energy.
Well, yeah, it does make sense that I would bypass him. So I'll just I'll attack. Let's see. Sky, Lakes, user's cost, right? Okay.
You could
can-
fly up above it and drop down. That will give you the bonus die to attack.
Yeah, I was going to ask if I could try to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and because you got the flight thing and the mobility supports, that's not going to cost you anything.
Okay.
So that just means you're paying the attack cost, which is 3. Right?
And I
If you're using the thermal blade. Yeah.
4 dice, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Difficulty 6.
Okay. 5, 10, 6, 1.
So 3 damage. Okay. You hit your jets, go hurtling up into the air, and then come diving back down and drive your blade, impaling down through the power unit and the battery pack of Black Tiger. The whole mech suit instantly goes limp and just collapses under you, and you land on top of it. Power crackles up around your sword and around your suit. So Tiger is down.
I've got to do the pose, with the peace sign.
Get down!
Exactly.
Okay. Yumika.
Let me just be clear about this. The Chinese model, as far as we know, doesn't have any illegitimate mechatronic tech, does it? Does it?
It's knockoffs, so it's illegitimate, but
commonplace. Not what we're really worried about.
Not what you're really worried about.
Yeah. So I'm going to, stomp across the deck. Enormous two-headed kinetic battle axe, glittering shield, sort of buzzing a little bit because it's taken a bit of damage, but glowing orange. Are you sure you want to do this?
Okay. Make a negotiation roll with 2 extra dice.
Okay. So that is a 6, and a 10.
Okay. Yeah, it backs away and powers down, switching off. The claws closing and dropping to the deck. You have triumphed with only a mild battering.
I'm assuming that Tokuta has this driver well in hand, the pilot.
Yeah, you can rip open the front of his suit and drag him bodily out. He'll certainly provide some useful information once he's interrogated back at headquarters and perhaps lead you to the kingpin behind this bizarre smuggling and theft operation.
But first, Mr. Takuta, we have to get you to a decent tailor.
Laughter, freeze frame, credits. Right, so obviously we're doing one shots, so nothing more is going to happen after this, but you do, just out of curiosity, let's see how the character advancement system works. Okay, so what we're supposed to do, again, Japanese game, very formal. After the session comes to an end, hold a feedback session. Yeah. Comment on which scene or moment you liked the best, or where another player's character was the focus. So, what did you enjoy most?
Do you know? Funnily enough, okay. Sorry, are we in general or player specific?
Make it in general because we're low on players. So.
I think in general, I think weirdly enough, the structured nature of it makes it really useful for a one shot. Because you know the tram lines are there. We've all agreed to follow the tram lines because it's a one shot, which means that it's not as kind of clunky as it might be if you were trying to play this in a campaign setting. I think you might struggle after about session 4 or 5 of going, oh, okay, this play loop again. God, I might as well play World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
but actually, as a one shot tactic, it actually works really well.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for filler games and one shots. You could have like a quasi campaign where you just play the same characters for one shots every so often. That would work.
Yeah, or one investigation. Follow the train up the.
Yeah. Braden, what did you like best?
Yeah, I like the nature of it. I mean, the simplicity of it. I mean, and then, yeah, I can see where you're going with. Yeah, I mean, I think somehow having maybe a little minor encounter before the big encounter, at least, so that just to break up the investigation might, if you're going to play it longer term.
You can have like minor fight encounters before, but mechanically it's not there to do that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it seems like we're like, if we're trained agents, it seems like you'd be able to, I mean, I don't know, maybe you'd have some other stats where you can have a karate fight or some sort of, something, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Like how in Power Rangers, you've got the fights not in your Sentai suits, then the fight in your Sentai suits, then in your Zords, and then in your Megazord. You've got to have
exactly. Yeah.
Which is really weird because it gives you a brawl and a suppression stat.
Yeah.
which seems to really kind of key into doing exactly that, right?
Yeah, it says what it expects you to do is if you get into a brawl, you just roll your brawl skill against the difficulty of the encounter, and that's really as far as it goes. And then you might get delays. So,
but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, once you all if everyone's on the same page with the fiction, then cool.
Yeah.
Okay, you get into a fist fight. How many successes did you get? Oh, you got 3? That's a lot of successes. You beat this guy to a pulp, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Okay, so for surviving the session, you get 7 commendation points, they're called. For taking part in the feedback session, you get 3 commendation points. These things don't really count because I made the characters. Arrived at the session on time. Yes.
Sorry, T.
Yeah. And you didn't use your Convictor Drives, so you get bonus points for that as well. So that gives you 14 commendation points. So if we were playing a campaign or multiples, you can spend those points to get promoted, to customize your weapons, to boost your firepower, to customize your Convictor to give it more capabilities and so on, and to improve skills.
So what's sort of what's the economy there in terms of, so if you've got 14, that would maybe...
Yeah, so you could increase your rank to officer second class from trainee. So yeah, that would make you a proper agent. So it's kind of graduation, I suppose. Customizing weapons, personalizing a weapon. You can decrease its load, but it was never entirely clear what load was exactly. And change its name for 8 points.
What?
Yeah, so I guess changing the descriptor. Boosting its firepower is 12 points. When you boost a weapon's firepower, increase its attack dice by +1. But you can only ever boost a weapon to +2 above its normal. You can switch out parts on your Convictor for 4 points. Have active mode customizations, like increasing your reserves and so on, for 12 points.
And so are there further ranks beyond sort of full agent, and are other upgrades throttled by rank, as it were?
The upgrades aren't, but you can either be promoted or you can improve your mech. So I guess it represents whether you're making demands of Central or being a good little soldier.
Right.
Ranks go from trainee all the way up to mecha commander. But you need like 500
What exactly
points.
was the flash word for on the character?
So that's a code word that activates your trauma. So when you went into your full suit mode, you're supposed to say your trigger words, but we kind of brushed past that.
Okay. All right.
And then if you do activate your Convictor Drive, you relive your horrible trauma, and the other members of your group get to witness your horrible trauma. So you do like a little flashback scene.
Aha.
All right. Yeah, so relatively short game. As suspected, due to the mission-based nature of it and the nature of the mechanics. But yeah, I think that's a good filler game. It's a bit too structured for me, but as a one-shot or a con game thing, that would work really well. Don't know what we're playing next time, because I don't know whether T-Shirt's feeling up to running his game again or not, or whether I'll be running mine. And I haven't decided what the next game will be yet, so we shall find out. Thanks for playing. See you soon. And thanks for watching, people out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Night, night. Bye.
Bye.